What if I told you there are life-saving foods sitting on store shelves right now, but you're not supposed to find them? Big chains don't want you stocking up on these. Why? Because they're not flashy, not high profit, and when a crisis hits, they disappear first. These aren't your everyday snacks. I'm talking about survival foods hidden in plain sight that could feed your family when supply chains snap. They're buried behind name brands, pushed out by cereal boxes, and almost never promoted. In this video, I'll show you 13 emergency foods that stores won't put front and center because they don't want you prepared. Stick around. Some of these could save your life when the shelves go empty. Grains. You'd be amazed and honestly a bit shocked how long simple grains can last. Take polished white rice. If stored right in a cool, dry, airtight spot, it can stay safe to eat for 25 to 30 years. Even at normal room temps, it'll last at least a decade. That's not pantry myth, it's lab tested by universities. And then there's quinoa, that trendy super grain. When sealed properly, it can last 8 years or more. Low heat, low moisture, sealed with oxygen absorbers. Experts even say some brands claim a 20-year shelf life. Millet and other whole grains, stored airtight, kept cool and dark even, they can last 10 to 20 years. It's wild but true. These grains, often ignored in favor of flashy snacks, are quiet survival heroes. No fridge, no fuss, just time-tested, reliable food that you can count on when everything else fails. 2. Beans and lentils. If you're not stocking beans, you're missing out on one of the cheapest, longest-lasting survival powerhouses out there. Dried beans and lentils, whether it's black beans, pinto, navy, or red lentils, can last 25 to 30 years when stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. That's not just survival blog talk. Even the U.S. Department of Agriculture backs this kind of long-term food storage for dried legumes. And here's the real kicker. Just 1 cup of dried beans gives you around 15 grams of protein and tons of fiber. That's critical in a crisis, when every calorie and nutrient counts. During COVID, dried beans were one of the first items to vanish from store shelves. And in some countries facing food inflation, beans have become unaffordable for many, proof that demand spikes when systems break. They're cheap now, they're shelf stable, and in a blackout or collapse, they could mean the difference between going hungry and having a hot, protein-packed meal. 3. Powdered milk and eggs. Sounds boring, right? But powdered milk and eggs are survival gold, and most people don't even think to grab them. Let's start with powdered milk. When stored in a sealed number 10 can with oxygen absorbers, it can last up to 20 years, according to food storage experts at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, one of the largest preparedness organizations in the world. Now powdered eggs, even better for baking and cooking. Some brands claim up to 10 to 15 years of shelf life when unopened. And nutritionally, they're solid. Each tablespoon gives about 6 grams of protein, almost the same as a fresh egg. Here's the shocker. During food shortages, powdered eggs have been used by the U.S. military and in disaster relief because they're light, long-lasting, and easy to rehydrate. They may not sound glamorous, but when fresh eggs vanish or milk turns bad in a blackout, these two will keep your pantry running like nothing happened. 4. Coconut oil and coconut milk. Most people grab canned veggies or meat, but forget one critical thing: fat. Your body needs it to survive, and coconut oil is one of the best shelf-stable fats out there. Here's the wild part. Virgin coconut oil can last 2 to 5 years without refrigeration if stored in a cool, dark place. That's way longer than butter or olive oil, which go rancid fast. Some preppers even say coconut oil can last indefinitely when sealed properly. It's not just about calories either. Coconut oil has natural antibacterial and antifungal properties. In an emergency, you can cook with it, moisturize skin, clean wounds, and even use it as a fire starter. Canned coconut milk. That gives you healthy fats, flavor, and comfort, especially when cooking rice, soups, or survival curries. And it usually lasts 2 to 3 years, sealed and unopened. The bottom line? If you're building a serious pantry, you need fat, and coconut products do double duty: nutrition and utility. 5. Nut butters, nuts, and seeds. When things go south, energy becomes your biggest currency. And nuts, seeds, and nut butters are some of the most calorie-dense, nutrient-packed foods you can store. Let's break it down. Just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter give you nearly 200 calories with healthy fats, protein, and fiber. That's huge in a crisis, especially when meals are limited. Here's what most people don't know. Sealed nut butters, especially powdered peanut butter or almond butter, can last 5 to 10 years when kept airtight and cool. That's not just storage blog hype. Brands like PB2 and long-term storage suppliers guarantee these shelf lives under proper conditions. Nuts like almonds, walnuts, and sunflower seeds, they hold up for 1 to 2 years, but if vacuum sealed and frozen, they can last even longer, up to 5 years or more, without losing nutrients. And here's the kicker. During the 2020 lockdowns, peanut butter was one of the first items to disappear from store shelves. That should tell you how valuable it is in a panic. They're lightweight, no cooking needed, and they pack a survival punch in every spoonful. 6. Dehydrated fruits and jerky. When fresh food disappears, dehydrated fruits and jerky become essential. Why? Because they give you vitamins, enzymes, marchistitis, and morale, all without needing a fridge. Dehydrated fruits like apples, bananas, or berries can last up to 25 years if packed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Even store-bought versions, sealed and unopened, stay good for 1 to 2 years or more. That's a long time to hold on to something sweet, healthy, and lightweight. And beef jerky, it's not just a snack, it's shelf-stable protein packed with iron and energy. Regular jerky lasts 1 year unopened, but survival-grade jerky, especially freeze-dried or vacuum-sealed, can go up to 10 years without spoiling. Here's something most people forget. In a crisis, vitamin deficiencies set in fast, especially when you're living on canned goods and carbs. Dehydrated fruits help prevent that, and jerky gives you the protein your muscles and brain need to keep going. No fridge, no prep, just rip, eat, and survive. 7. Cocoa powder and instant coffee. Warm comfort when the world turns cold. You might be thinking, hot cocoa and coffee, are those really survival foods? But hear me out, these aren't just treats. They're survival tools hidden in plain sight. Imagine this, the shelves are bare. You've got rice, beans, canned meat, fine. But you're tired, your mood is low, everything feels bleak. Now imagine steaming hot cocoa or a rich cup of instant coffee to warm your soul. That feeling matters in survival. Let's talk facts. Unsweetened cocoa powder, stored cool, dry, and airtight, can last indefinitely without losing flavor or nutrients, capsuling comfort for years. Think about that. Something so simple sticks around long term, while fresh food rots in days. Instant coffee? It's a prepper's dream. Cheaper, lighter, and shelf-stable, often lasting decades when freeze-dried or vacuum-packed. Even regular jar instant coffee delivers solid shelf life with nearly all its antioxidants intact. Surprising health and mental benefits, here's where it gets real. Cocoa isn't just sugar, it's packed with flavonols, real antioxidants that support your brain and heart health. Studies show cocoa can reduce inflammation, improve blood pressure, boost blood flow, and help brain function, even lower stroke risk. Want to feel sharper during stress? Cocoa helps. Coffee down. Even instant has nearly all the antioxidants of fresh brew. 1 cup of instant packs 30 to 90 nasoants of caffeine, enough to lift mood, focus, and energy. Feeling foggy or lethargic? That pick-me-up could make all the difference. Here's a shocker. Instant coffee can contain double the acrylamide of regular coffee. Acrylamide is a chemical produced during roasting linked to nervous system damage and cancer risk at high exposure. But before you panic, here's the catch. Normal serving levels are still far below the danger zone. So in a survival scenario, it's a calculated positive. The risks from boredom, burnout, and low morale, much, much worse. Governments and militaries don't include cocoa and instant coffee in emergency rations because they're treats. They include them to support morale and cognitive performance. In crises, the mind matters as much as the body. An energized, hopeful person can make better decisions, find food, help others, stay calm. You don't need a fridge, a grinder, or fancy gear, just hot water, and in the darkest times, that matters. Choose unsweetened cocoa in Mylar or airtight cans. Pick instant coffee, freeze-dried lasts longest. Store both in cool, dark places, pantry, cellar, or utility closet. Keep a simple kettle or metal pot handy. Just add hot water. Use them in small doses, daily sachets, and occasional treat to stretch supplies. These aren't luxuries, they're anchors. When food runs low and morale dips, a hot cup can steady your nerves. It fights fatigue, sharpens your mind, and lifts your spirit. In collapse-level stress, that's survival chemistry. So stash cocoa and instant coffee. They're quiet heroes hidden in plain sight, ready when everything else fades. 8. Bouillon cubes. You might laugh at the idea of bouillon cubes being essential, but in a real crisis, these little blocks become game changers. Bouillon cubes, those tiny, salty squares, are actually one of the most underrated survival foods out there. They take up almost no space, cost pennies, and can turn boring emergency meals into warm, satisfying comfort food. When all you've got is rice or beans, a single bouillon cube can transform it into something you'll actually want to eat. But here's the kicker. Most people don't know they can last up to 2 years or more when stored properly. Some preppers even stretch that to 5 years if sealed in vacuum bags and kept dry and cool. The salt and fat content help preserve them naturally, and flavor isn't just about taste, it's about morale. In survival psychology studies, even small comforts like warm, familiar food can lower stress, reduce panic, and help people think more clearly under pressure. Imagine eating bland oatmeal for the 5th day in a row, or dropping in a chicken bouillon cube and making a quick, savory broth. That flavor can change your whole mindset. Also, here's something wild. During wartime and famine, bouillon cubes were used by armies and civilians alike, not just for cooking, but as makeshift electrolyte boosters. They contain sodium, sometimes potassium, and can help maintain hydration when clean water is limited and you're sweating hard or rationing. They're lightweight, cheap, easy to store, and they'll make even your most basic survival food feel like a real meal again. 9. Canned pink salmon. Everyone runs for canned tuna in a crisis, but smart preppers, they grab pink salmon, and there's a good reason for that. Canned pink salmon is one of the most nutrient-dense, shelf-stable proteins you can get your hands on. Each can is packed with high-quality protein, healthy fats, and, here's the kicker, omega-3s. Your body can't make omega-3s on its own, and in survival mode, when you're stressed, undernourished, and worn down, those healthy fats become critical. In fact, research from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health confirms that omega-3s help reduce inflammation, improve brain function, and even protect the heart during extreme physical and emotional stress. That's not fluff, it's science-backed survival support. And get this, canned salmon isn't just a short-term fix, it lasts a long time. Most brands have a shelf life of 3 to 5 years, and some preppers report eating cans well past the date with no problems, as long as the can was sealed, undamaged, and stored in a cool, dry place. Here's what makes it better than tuna. Lower mercury risk often includes bones, which are soft and edible, giving you natural calcium, and it's usually wild-caught, not farm-raised. During supply chain breakdowns, fish is one of the first protein sources to vanish, especially the high-quality stuff. Salmon, especially pink salmon, often gets overlooked on shelves because it's not as trendy, but it's more nutritious and sometimes even cheaper. So when the power's out, the stores are empty and fresh meat is gone, that humble can of salmon could fuel your brain, keep your heart healthy, and give your body what it needs to push through another day. 10. Pemmican. This one is almost forgotten in modern times, but if you're serious about survival, you need to know about pemmican. It's one of the oldest, most powerful survival foods ever made, and it comes straight from Native American ingenuity. Pemmican is a mix of dried lean meat, rendered fat, and sometimes berries. That's it. No preservatives, no fancy packaging, yet when made and stored properly, it can last over 50 years. Yes, you heard that right, 5 decades. This isn't just survival folklore. Explorers, fur traders, and Arctic travelers lived off pemmican for months at a time. It's ultra-calorie dense, doesn't spoil without refrigeration, and provides the perfect mix of protein and fat, exactly what your body needs during extreme stress or food shortages. A small handful can power you through an entire day. Even modern survivalists swear by it. And the best part, you can make it at home with just a few ingredients. Beef or venison, rendered tallow, and dried fruits if you want extra flavor. No cooking required once it's made, just slice and eat. In a collapse, most people will be stuck with bland carbs and canned goods, but if you've got pemmican in your stash, you've got ancient, proven fuel that could keep you alive and strong long after others burn out. 11. Vanilla extract and maple syrup. In a crisis, it's not just about calories, it's about comfort. And that's where vanilla extract and real maple syrup come in. These might sound like luxury items, but when you're living off rice, beans, and powdered milk, even a drop of flavor can feel like a lifeline. Vanilla extract can turn bland survival pancakes or oatmeal into something that reminds you of home. Real maple syrup, it's not just sweet, it's natural energy with minerals like zinc, potassium, and manganese packed inside. What's surprising is how long these last. Pure vanilla extract, thanks to its alcohol content, has an almost indefinite shelf life. Just store it in a cool, dark place and it'll be good for decades. Maple syrup, sealed and unopened, can last years in your pantry and even longer if you freeze it. In fact, the USDA confirms that 100% pure maple syrup can stay fresh for indefinite periods when properly stored. Here's why this matters. Survival isn't just physical, it's mental. In emergencies, morale can make or break you. A spoonful of sweetness, a scent of something familiar, it can calm nerves, boost mood, and help you feel human when everything else feels wrong. You don't need gallons. Just a couple of small bottles in your stash can turn hard times into something a little more bearable. 12. Yeast. The key to real bread when the world stops. Imagine this: food gets scarce. Power cuts, no fresh bread. You have flour and water, but nothing can rise. That's where yeast becomes a survival game changer. It's the quiet hero of any real food strategy if you store it right. Dry yeast is a living organism, and like all life, it dies when exposed to heat, moisture, and air. But kept cold, dry, airtight, it lasts astonishingly long. Unopened dry yeast packets can stay viable for 2 years at room temp. If you stash them in the refrigerator, they keep up to 5 years. Pop them into the freezer, they can live even longer than that. In one Reddit thread, a home baker mentioned using yeast that stayed potent for 4 years in a fridge, and even 10 years, albeit with lower activity. That's the shelf life. Here's why it matters. In a survival collapse, fresh bread feels impossible, but it's essential. Bread is comfort, calories, and psychology all rolled in one. It nourishes the body and soothes the soul. Yeast lets you make that with just flour, water, and patience. With it, you can sustain morale when everything else fails. Yeast is also smart nutrition. In an emergency, your body needs B vitamins, trace minerals, and complex carbs. Bread made with yeast provides more than just empty calories. It gives energy that digests slowly and sustains you. It's not just filler, it's fuel. Now, storing yeast the right way is key. After opening a packet, seal it airtight in a jar or mylar bag. Refrigerate for medium-term storage, good for 4 to 6 months. Freeze for longer, it'll stay viable for 6 to 12 plus months, maybe years if kept frozen constantly. Always proof a bit before use. Warm water, a pinch of sugar, yeast. If it bubbles within 10 minutes, it's alive and ready. Here's the big shocker. Yeast can outlast many emergency packs labeled long shelf life, and yet so many preppers skip it. That's a huge mistake. Without yeast, you're stuck with hard flatbreads or plain carbs. With yeast, you can bake time-tested staples, pita, sourdough, even pizza. It's also flexible. You can cultivate sourdough starter from wild yeast if your store-bought yeast declines. That keeps a bread-making culture alive for years, but you need the yeast now, when systems still work, before shelves empty. When you store yeast, keep it cold, dry, sealed. Label the date, rotate older jars first, proof before use to avoid disappointment. In short, yeast lets you bake food that nourishes body and mind. It battles malnutrition, starvation, and despair. Without it, you're baking cookies, not survival fuel. With it, you're sustaining your tribe with warmth, carbs, and hope. In a collapse, that's priceless. 13. Nutritious teas and spices. Most people overlook this part of their pantry. But if you're building a survival stash, teas and spices aren't extras, they're essentials. These quiet shelf heroes carry far more value than people realize. They support health, aid digestion, reduce inflammation, and just like cocoa or coffee, boost morale in tough times. Let's start with herbal teas, not the sugary stuff in bottles. Real dried herbs like peppermint, chamomile, ginger, hibiscus, green tea, or turmeric. These have been used for thousands of years to treat everything from stomach aches to anxiety and infections. And in a crisis when medical help may not be available, these natural remedies become critical. For example, ginger tea can ease nausea, reduce inflammation, and help fight colds. Chamomile calms the nervous system and promotes sleep. Peppermint soothes digestion and even helps with headaches. According to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, herbs like peppermint and ginger have strong traditional and emerging scientific support for mild relief of stomach-related issues. Now, let's talk about shelf life. You'd be surprised how long dried teas can last. Sealed properly in airtight containers and kept out of light, most herbal teas stay good for 1 to 2 years, with some lasting up to 5 years or more, while still holding their flavor and properties. They're light, compact, and easy to store, making them a smart prep for both daily use and long-term emergencies. And don't forget spices. Cinnamon, turmeric, cumin, garlic powder, cayenne, clove. All of these bring more than flavor. They offer real medicinal benefits. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory. Garlic fights bacteria and boosts immunity. Cayenne improves circulation and even acts as a natural pain reliever. In fact, during wartime and famine, spices were often traded like medicine and sometimes even like gold. Beyond that, spices and teas help fight taste fatigue. In a crisis, eating the same bland meals day after day wears down your appetite and energy. A little cinnamon in your rice or a cup of warm herbal tea at night gives you a sense of normalcy, and that's worth more than people realize. Mental survival is half the battle, and here's something that might surprise you. In ancient cultures, some teas and spices were considered so valuable they were stored with weapons and gold. That's how essential they were for strength, healing, and morale. Even the military includes herbal tea bags in some long-term ration kits, not for luxury, but because they know how much a warm, healing cup can stabilize a person in cold, high-stress environments. So if you're serious about prepping, don't forget this category. Keep a small, organized stash of green tea or black tea, energy plus its antioxidants, chamomile, yunger, peppermint, digestion plus calm, turmeric, cinnamon, garlic powder, healing plus anti-inflammatory. Let's be real for a second. When shelves go empty, when trucks stop rolling, when the lights go out, no one's coming to save you. And the worst part, most people won't even realize it's happening until it's too late. That's why this list matters. These 13 foods, they're not fancy, they're not Instagram worthy, but they're powerful. Quietly sitting on store shelves, waiting, some of them will be the first to vanish in a crisis. Others, you'll never even see them unless you know exactly where to look. The truth is, most stores don't want you thinking like this. They want you to buy quick snacks, flashy brands, short-term comfort, but real survival comes from planning ahead, from staying one step in front of the chaos. So don't wait. Go through this list, pick a few items to grab this week. Even just one or two could make a huge difference for your family when things get tight. Remember, preparedness doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be smart. And if this video gave you even one idea you hadn't thought of before, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I'm building my quiet pantry. Let others know they're not alone in this. Stay ready, stay calm, and never rely on someone else to feed your family when things fall apart.